Here we are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A little story for today, unless somebody else has a little story.
I have some news to break on the podcast.
Whoa!
That was given to me by a real news breaking guy.
A source or a newsbreaker gave you the info?
A newsbreaker.
Wow.
Is this filtering?
And I said you should tweet it. And he said you should say it on the Ricky. So
wow.
I will break the news during the podcast portion of the podcast.
Whoa.
Wow. That's exciting stuff.
Pretty big. Could get aggravated.
Yeah.
Did I say aggravated or aggregated?
Yes.
Whatever I said, I meant that's the one I meant. That's fine.
Wow. That is huge news.
Aside from an announcement of an announcement, Spike,
Yeah.
you have something?
Well, I'm very big on announcements of announcements. I love those. My thing was just that I had to go to urgent care today.
Ooh.
For what? Nervous about the podcast?
Yeah. Yeah, she was so confused. So Sunday night, I noticed like my eye hurts a little bit. And I had been cutting up raw jalapeno. So I thought what happened was I touched my eyes. Whatever. So like 1 day later, still hurts. 2 days later, still hurts. This morning, not only did it still hurt, but like my eyelid was puffy. So I wake my wife up at 4:15, freaking out, telling her I think I have MRSA.
MRSA?
She doesn't even know what MRSA is. So
how'd you come up with MRSA?
What's that?
How'd you come up with MRSA? Where'd that?
Just that it looked like it was an infection or because something was puffy. I don't know. I go to a gym. I put my head on the mat, MRSA, whatever.
You rub your eyes on the mat.
Yep. Just fucking, I just grind my fucking face into the mat. So I waited until urgent care opened. Go in there. And she was like, is there any like discharge or pus? I'm like, nah. She's like, does it itch? I said, no. She said, does it affect your vision? I said, no. I said, you're making me feel like a hypochondriac for being here. Nothing. She looked at it. She said, I have a sty. Have you ever had one of those?
Yeah. No.
I have never. And then she said to put a warm, like compress on it or whatever. And she prescribed me a tea bag, right, with actual tea in it.
Mm-hmm.
Unflavored?
Yeah, just rest it there. Really, it's a perfect size to do.
Good size.
I imagine if it's like a raspberry or something, then the flavor might get into your eye.
Yeah, I mean, who's having raspberry tea though? We're grown-ups here.
Raspberry
We're grown-ups here.
She also prescribed me an ointment, and I went to pick it up. It's $254.
Oof.
Fuck it. Style go away on its own. Yeah. All right.
I always forget if it's. I'll do hot and cold. I'll go back and forth. Sometimes hot, sometimes cold. Mix it up.
Oh, tea or compress
if
on
it's
your
tea,
eye?
if I go hot, it'd be hot tea. But then you also just go a little ice to cool it down. You gotta go back and forth. Freak it out. I like freaking out my shit.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, proudly presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Mortgage CS. Become a Mortgage CS Ricky VIP by going to mortgagecs.com/Ricky. Body Bio. Get 20% off any Body Bio order with promo code Mike's Tummy, all one word. And Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe, which will come out tomorrow, Friday morning. Subscribe at rightstrickysanchez.com/newsletter. You can get the vodka at statesidevodka.com. On the show today, Mike is going to break news from a newsbreaker. That is the story. Mike,
aggregators, get ready for this.
Get ready to aggregate this.
Start
NBA
typing.
Central. Yeah. Also, James Harden eats cheeseburgers rather than going to Joel's wedding. Also, comments on player empowerment. BBall Paul is going to be Pascal Siakam. I will ask Mike which teams in the NBA have a better chance to win a title than the Sixers over the next 5 years. And a very important question and story about airplane bathrooms. That's right. Stateside Vodka, I did mention, it is sweltering here in the Northeast. 90 degrees, heat emergency. What's the best way to cool down if you're 21 or older? That's right, Surfside iced tea and vodka. There's the little Surfside Yeti I have here. The can fits right in there. Anyway, the Surfside is a perfect summer drink. Only 100 calories, few grams of sugar, perfect amount of sweetness. It is the best version. I know you see a lot of this shit when you go out or whatever. Oh, which one should I get? Surf. Nothing is even close to Surfside. Nothing. Coolest can. Also different flavors: iced tea and vodka, peach tea and vodka, iced tea lemonade and vodka, lemonade and vodka. Yes. Go to statesidevodka.com. You got to be 21 to drink it. And the basketball tournament next week, TBT in its 10th year, coming to Philly for the semifinals, August 2nd and 3rd at Drexel. We did get a picture of the real Ricky Sanchez from our buddy Jake Pavorsky, who was watching TBT, works over there at TBT. Ricky Sanchez playing. I don't know if his team won or not.
At this point, aren't we the real Ricky Sanchez? I mean,
that's a good point.
As far as like being notable in the basketball world goes.
Yeah, I mean,
think we may have surpassed him.
Yeah. I mean, we have our own Wikipedia.
So does he.
Well, I'm just saying we're tied in that sense now.
Okay.
We've had a more successful basketball career. So in any case, do you want a great deal on tickets for TBT? Well, it's just as easy as going to thetournament.com/TBT/BOGO and using code TBTBOGO.
Do you feel like you're not pressing the slash button enough? Well, we have a deal for you.
It is buy one, get one free tickets. Great deal. Go see some basketball over the summer. We are in the dead zone for hoops, and TBT brings the dead zone back to life. Again, go to thetournament.com/TBT/BOGO and use code TBTBOGO for buy one, get one free tickets. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Right Streaky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who is busy celebrating Mike Scott's title in Puerto Rico with Gigantes de Carolina. That is one, Mike Levin.
I just like that some process kind of era Sixer has won a championship. It's just nice to see.
Did I see that he was the MVP of the series or the league or something, or am I making that up?
Sounds familiar. We're clearly locked in on this league. Happy for him. I mean, I did watch a highlight reel of him hitting shots, and it's not. He was so limited to just like catch and shoot if nobody is nearby him anymore. And it really is bizarre because these guys are it's hard to like, these guys are so good at basketball.
Yeah.
And then they get sort of forced into this role at an NBA level where they have to just do pretty much this one thing, which is either like fill a lane in transition and dunk, or like be a catch and shoot outlet for so many guys. And then like they get to do other stuff, and you watch them and you're like, oh, right. They can do all this other impressive basketball stuff, but they're not allowed to because they're not as good as the top 0.0001%. So I'm happy for Mike Scott getting to expand his game again. He looked pretty limited back when he was with the Sixers, and that he won a title, something that we as Sixers fans can't say, although I obviously as a coach can say.
Well, and the thing as well about, I would say watching him play with those players is like watching a grown-up play with children. Almost. For sure. Yeah. And then in other former Sixers news, I don't want to be remiss, and I would be remiss if I did not mention to you, Mike, the huge news coming out of the Atlantic Division. One, Ben Simmons is fully healthy and intends to hit camp at full speed and compete for the starting point guard position for the Brooklyn Nets. Your thoughts?
I actually didn't see this.
Oh, it's true.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Good for him. So when I just want to know, just from a rundown standpoint, when is the news breaking happen?
Whenever you want.
CJ,
Well,
what?
It's okay. You tell me. You should say the number one thing on the item,
Okay.
and then I'll say mine.
Okay. So the number one thing that we were going to talk about is that BBall Paul was in fact at Joel Embiid's wedding while James Harden was getting burgers.
Yes. So I have from a newsbreaker.
Oh,
I was told
oh.
that someone else was at the wedding.
Okay. All right. Wait. Okay. Someone else was at the wedding. Well, I do know
Do you wanna hear
somebody else was at the wedding. I hope it's not the same person.
I don't know.
Is it a player or an executive?
Executive.
I think we might be knowing the same person, but you go ahead.
Well, I'll just tell you who I heard it from first.
Okay.
This is reported via, you know how Woj will say like the agent of the player negotiating the deal?
Yes.
Like, which is pretty aggressive and unnecessary.
Yeah.
So let's just say that's the kind of thing that I'm saying here. So via Jake Fisher, former Liberty Ballers writer Jake Fisher, now Yahoo, and has been everywhere else. An attendee of Joel Embiid's wedding was Sam Hinkie.
Oh, I did not know that. So Elton Brand was there, I believe.
Daryl was also there. But
Okay. Wow.
but yeah.
He was at the wedding.
Sam went. I thought that's really cool. Made me smile.
Do you think he was being fucking weird or normal?
Probably weird.
Yeah.
Probably weird.
Sitting in the corner doing math, talking about his
fix an email. We need to fix drink orders. He's always trying to innovate. But I think it's nice, and I think that's how you know that Joel is just like one of us in a way, because he gets not in the sense that he just like likes Hinkie or whatever, but I think he has the institutional memory that we have of this whole thing, and he's been here for so much bullshit that we have been around for, and so it just feels like he's a part of this more than just like being the main cog of this organization. He feels like he's part of the community as well, partly because he's online, but him and Sam still having a relationship after this long, I think is really nice.
Well, I do need, if there happens to be anybody listening who was at the wedding and got a picture of Hinkie and Embiid at the wedding, I would love to see that. Would love to see Hinkie dressed up.
Yeah.
I imagine he was wearing a suit with no tie, white shirt. That is my guess.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Sounds right. No, I think definitely a suit. Definitely a suit. He's a respectful guy. I wonder if Brett was there. I didn't hear anything about that. I'm gonna say I doubt that Colangelo was there. I doubt that Doc was there.
I doubt it as well. Yeah.
But
so
that's what we know. News broken.
News broken. That is great news. Broken by Mike Levin, who broke it from Jake Fisher.
That's right.
So, okay. Now, one person who wasn't there, we know for sure, is one James Harden. And a video from, I believe this is from his Instagram, was, I think, or somebody's Instagram, was posted online of where he was while the wedding was going on. CJ, could you play the video? And there is James Harden getting 4 free hamburgers, a Trill burger, and right at the end, PJ Tucker, really looking like he's enjoying the hamburgers. 4 hamburgers for James Harden. First question for you. Were those hamburgers for other people or just for him?
Look, hamburgers are smaller than you think. Always.
Yeah, you could eat a couple for sure.
I could rip 4 pretty easily if I'm in the right headspace for it. At a concert, maybe that's weird. I would say it's for him and one other person. That's my guess. But I do like PJ's smile. I do think it's weird that both of them, the fact that both of them are like connected at the hip.
Look at PJ's
He's
smile.
so happy about it. And he's not wearing a shirt, which is great.
Yeah.
Like connected at the hip and like connected in trade rumors.
Yep.
And that they're both not at the wedding. It's hard to know what to read into. I'm really bad at knowing what to read into versus what not to read into. People go like, oh, that's nothing, or something. Oh, obviously that's a big deal. So I never know. But they weren't there, and they were eating a ton of burgers instead.
Yeah, PJ Tucker's name somewhere popped up as, trade rumor. Obviously, if Harden isn't here, I think it definitely increases the likelihood, obviously, of PJ Tucker not being here. So Harden was on, man, I forget who he was talking to. Does anyone remember? TJ, do you remember who he's talking to in this interview? He did some fucking interview where they asked him, we'll see who it is, and we'll shout it out. They asked him about the Dame Lillard situation, which is sort of odd to ask him about, given that he has his own situation. But here we go. Here's what James Harden said.
Is player empowerment. For example, like Damian Lillard right now, he's basically saying he only wants to play for Miami. When it comes to the player empowerment, do you think that's a good thing, a bad thing for a player to kind of dictate where they want to play in the league, since it's so different than what it used to be now?
I see both sides of it. I see both sides to where it's because I went through it, to where the organization want to do what's best for them. They don't want to just give a player that basically is one of the best players they've ever had in their organization away for nothing or for less than what, So I get the organization side, and then I get the player side as far as wanting to play and wanting to be somewhere, whether it's because it's the right situation for you, for your family or yourself, or whatever that person is going through. So I see both sides. So if they can meet in the middle and kind of come to agreement and figure it out, then that's like the best scenario. Like I wouldn't want an organization to send somewhere where they wouldn't be, because you've built a real relationship with that person. That person has done so many great things for your organization, your franchise. So, but then you don't want to give that play away for nothing. So I get both sides. So, it just find a balance, meet in the middle, and hopefully both sides can come to an agreement.
So first of all, he said he went through it.
Yep.
It either means this was taped long ago, or he has some real dissociative disorder like going on there, because he's going through it now, obviously. The other thing, he sounds reasonable.
He does.
Sounds reasonable in that he understands both sides. However, what does meet in the middle mean? Like, what could that possibly mean? There is no middle. Like, if he's saying, I want to go to this one team and only this one team, I don't know what meet in the middle means. It sounds nice, but I don't know what the reality. Does it mean coming up with 5 teams you'll go to, or like I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
Yeah, there being like a secondary list, or the team that you want to go to, then paying up all that they can pay up, basically, to make it happen. I don't know. I don't know when this is going to be over. It's really hard to not look at the roster.
There's no doubt he will be in camp.
We're already like doing a podcast twice a week during the off season is already like, a feat of strength.
For sure.
And Daryl saying, pay no attention to the roster makes it even harder.
Yep.
To do it, but I think we can do it. If it's just, if the two-way spots are locked in, I can really hone in on that, I guess.
You think, excuse me, you think we can do it, meaning we can do the podcasts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Speaking of, we mentioned earlier in the intro to the pod, we mentioned the basketball tournament, and we got to bring out, Mike, did you know that DraftKings Sportsbook has odds for the basketball tournament that you can bet on it?
I didn't.
I did not know that. So the winner of the Dayton Regional, the favorite is Friday Beers at plus 110. And the longest shot is India Rising at plus 800. And then the regional favorite for Best Virginia is plus 110. And the longest shot is Heard That at plus 500. Of course,
that's Marshall.
Marshall University? Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought it was Colin Cowherd's team.
I doubt it. I doubt that he's out there.
Excuse me. Well, the DraftKings Sportsbook app is where you would bet on those things. I would recommend not betting on the Sixers until you find out who's going to be on the team.
Yeah. Shouldn't be allowed to.
Talk about DraftKings for a second.
Oh, I love it. I don't live in a state where I can do it, but every time I'm in one of those, I pull out my old phone. I do a little Face ID to make sure that it's me making the bets, and I lay down some futures because I like futures. Like I don't like the immediate return of a bet that night. I prefer a long chore.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Download it and use code RTRS. New customers can score $150 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5 on anything. That is code RTRS only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Download it now. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Got to be 21. See show notes for details. One final James Harden thing is did you see the 2K video of James Harden, the Sixer?
No.
Oh, here we go.
I want some fries and chicken, a side of biscuit, that ain't enough for me. I want a number 3, straight out that oven.
Yes, they made a Fat Harden highlight video on 2K. It's so good.
Imagine if Zion was no muscle.
It is a great video. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, that's
I've
all
been
that's
sitting.
going.
We mentioned this Dame. We mentioned Dame for a second. I've been sitting on this Dame take for a month now that I haven't let out. He's 33. He's gonna be 33 this entire next season.
Mm-hmm.
He had one of, if not the best offensive season of his career, but he is like absolutely a negative on the defensive end.
Sure.
Are we sure? I'm gonna be the are we sure guy. Are we sure that for the next 3 years, Damian Lillard is going to be better than Gabe Vincent?
Yeah.
Are we sure? Gabe Vincent, a better defensive player, absolutely. 4 or 5 years younger. Dame's like high volume 3-point percentage, obviously, or 3-point attempts, but percentage-wise, a little lower than you'd think. The last couple of years. Going to lose a step, not going to be athletic, gets fouls, but as we know from Harden, as you get older, those foul drawing numbers go down. I wonder if we're sure.
What do you think
for the next 3 years?
What do you think in the third year, the percent chance that Gabe Vincent is as good as or better than Dame Lillard? I would like to nail you down a little bit on that.
At age 30. I guess it would be age 35.
Correct.
The full age 35 because Dame turns his birthday's in July or early July. I think I just looked. I'm going to call it a coin flip.
Wow.
I'm going to say by the time he's 36, Kemba Walker is playing in Monaco right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it happens quick for small guards.
Well, Kemba Walker was never close to as good as Lillard.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely not. But I'm not saying Dame's
but
I'm not saying Dame's going to be playing in Monaco. I'm saying he's going to be worse than. Are we sure he's not going to be worse than Gabe Vincent in 3 years?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money for a little guard. And it's hard to, unless you're the 15th guy on the bench, Udonis Haslem, it's hard to be establishing the culture, making that much money when you're not good anymore. So I'm just wondering. It's just a question I want to ask and pose to the NBA world at large, that like you never think a guy's going to get worse, but it happens. And he's a little guard, and that happens to a lot of little guards.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
What would you say the difference is currently between Lillard and Gabe Vincent? If just a lot for context, if Lillard is a 10 out of 10 of Lillard, what percentage is like what is Gabe Vincent? Is he a 5?
If Lillard is a 10, it's tough. We're saying if
I'm using a Lillard scale where Lillard
I do think
is
his
a 10.
Dame's defense has gotten worse over the last couple of years, and partly it's because he's playing on a team that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but let's say his defense. Let's do a -5 to +5. Dame's defense, I would say, is a -5. and his offense is a positive 5.
Okay. Or in other words, 10 and 0, but that's fine.
Yeah, but I like being in the negative.
Okay,
It's
okay,
better.
okay.
Gabe Vincent's offense is maybe -1.
Okay.
And his defense is probably for a guard, probably positive 1.
Okay.
I could see that shrinking over the course of time.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. I can see it
Wow.
shrinking. So give me a coin flip that in 3 years with injuries and age, we're close. And I'm not even that big of a Gabe Vincent guy necessarily. There's other guys that I could think of more, but just because Miami might be replacing Gabe Vincent who has now gone to the Lakers, replacing him with Dame is a question. And you see, I'm just tired of old guys, tired of old slow guys. And Dame is Father Time's gonna come calling. It's gonna go from Dame time to Father Time pretty quick, my friend. Gabe Vincent drinking from the fountain of youth for another few years.
Let me whisper something to CJ real quick, Mike,
Okay.
that you can't hear.
I won't be able to hear it.
Yeah. CJ, make sure you clip that and put it on the internet. The Gabe Vincent Dame Lillard thing.
And CJ, separately from whatever Spike just said, bookmark it for 3 years from now when I'm right. And Dame is playing in slightly better than Monaco.
So there was a little bit of BBall Paul stuff. Kai Carlin at USA Today transcribed quotes from somewhere. I know Paul Reed was on the Sixers Insider with Lauren Rosen or whatever. I saw that today, but I don't think this is where this was from. Maybe it was. But there were a bunch of quotes. Quote from BBall Paul Reed.
Say it.
I've talked to him, Nick Nurse, plenty of times, and it's always been the same kind of idea. He talked about molding me into a Pascal Siakam type player. Somebody who can do it all. Shoot the ball, drive, pass. But right now, it's all about focusing on my shot mechanics. That's the start. That's where it starts at.
Jump 50 inches off of the ground.
Now,
I've said this. You've heard me say this.
Pascal Siakam, yeah.
Yeah. Because he's weird.
Like Siakam.
Two weird guys that are a little bit offbeat. A little bit not exactly on the rhythm. Siakam was obviously a little bit younger coming out of college and drafted in the first round, had in New Mexico State, but you can see it a little bit. And there's obviously a smoothness to Siakam's game that B-Ball doesn't have at all. Siakam's like a smooth weirdness, and B-Ball is just a weirdness. But as far as like sometime playing the 4th, Mo Bamba referenced, Marcus Gasol, Serge Ibaka together. B-Ball Paul at the 4. Maybe that's why Doc got fired. Could you imagine if that was the reason Doc got fired? I mean, there was a bunch of reasons.
Because they wanted him to play Paul Reed at the 4.
If that was the last straw, that people were like, he won't play B-Ball at the 4. Get him out of here. That'd be a real victory tour for me.
Speaking of his smooth shot mechanics, there was a video, thanks to
I watched this.
Harrison Grimm of, I believe that's who it was.
Yeah.
He was playing at the Brotherly Love League Pro-Am, and there are some highlights here. This is a good video.
Very close Elam ending here tonight, Ben.
Actually, could you mute that?
With announcers. I like that there's
Yeah.
announcers for the Brotherly Love Pro-Am.
Yeah. There we go. So, yeah.
There it is.
Ooh, I don't know about those shot mechanics.
It doesn't matter how it looks.
Ooh. Yeah. I mean, it does go in. It does go in. Here we go again.
That's the shot. That's the move he did with the children.
With the kids.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And I think there might be one more.
I like the outlet pass.
Great
The outlet
pass
pass was something I was like, wait, that actually I can work with that.
Yeah.
That I want to see more of.
So there we go. So here we go.
That's it. Just a pick and pop.
Just like Pascal Siakam right there. There you go.
Honestly, he did look like Pascal Siakam there. The pick and pop, he's got a roll. All of a sudden, you hit a couple jumpers. Defense starts coming in on you, and then he's by him. I'm 100% in on obviously B-Ball playing at the 4. I'm very interested to see how much, because Masai mostly got the credit, or not credit, but assigned the responsibility for the Raptors personnel, right? Obviously, as the front office guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 6'7" to 6'11" guys, like arms flailing everywhere, not really a point guard, just Fred VanVleet doing everything. And so I wonder how much was Masai versus how much was Nick Nurse, and how much will Nick have an influence on like Daryl personnel wise? Because I keep the Siakam thing I keep circling, not just for BBall, but for Siakam himself. In a world where
the Sixers, yeah,
because Toronto doesn't have. I don't know what Toronto's doing. I know that like if they really want to groom Scotty to become like a full-time point guard type of deal, then like Harden being there is not necessarily perfect, but he's also not ready to do that. They also have been in the wilderness for a couple years.
You keep talking about James Harden going to Toronto for.
I do. I keep talking about it because they don't have a point guard. They have Dennis Schroeder.
There's no chance they are going to get Pascal Siakam for James Harden. I'm sorry. I feel like you're
in a world where like there's not one thing that is like definitely possible. If there's so many odd outcomes that there's only a plurality that would be correct. But
Sure.
like I think it has as good of a chance as any of the other outcomes. I'm not saying it's like I'm
not
75%.
as good of a chance as the going to the Clippers for.
I do.
John.
I don't think what is Daryl going to do? What would they have to put in for Daryl to make that trade happen? I don't. He can say I'm playing for the Clippers next season only once. Like he's gonna have to start an NBA 2K franchise for that to happen. Like it's not.
You don't think some team is going to offer something better than a James Harden that doesn't want to be there for Pascal Siakam, like at the deadline or something? They'll be able to get a couple of first-round picks from somebody.
Well, I would say that this was an off-season type of trade. I would if we get to the season. No, I would say they're both expiring. If we get into the season and
During the season trade, not an off-season trade.
I'm saying like in the next couple months.
Okay.
Prior
before
to the
season starts. Okay.
I don't. Yeah, I mean they have Anunoby, they have Scotty Barnes. Like they just have overlapping skill sets of those guys, and not a point guard. They still have Gary Trent. Like it just seems to make sense that Harden and Scotty work as like a pick and roll tandem together. I have no idea. Obviously, if Harden would want to play there, or if Masai likes Harden's game, or what they're trying to do. But like Toronto has been like mysteriously weird for a few years. And they keep kind of doing this thing, or at least being reported on, like they're doing this thing, like, yeah, just watch us. Don't forget about Toronto. Like we got it. And they're still winning 41 games or something. It's like, what are you doing? What is the hope here? They let Van Vliet walk for nothing. If they either have to re-sign Siakam or let him walk for nothing, I have no idea what's going on there. So, not to be windhorsey, but it makes sense to me in the sense that Harden fills a role there, and Siakam would fill a role here once you got rid of the Tobias, PJ Tucker situation.
I have to look. I will give you more credit than humanly possible if that happens.
This is based on nothing whatsoever. I'm not being told anything.
No.
I'm just guessing. But you look at Jaylen Brown, who we were going to talk about. Jaylen Brown signs the biggest contract of all time, and that takes another fucking free agent off of Daryl's free agent wish list. And it's just like, what are we doing with the free agents? Well, who's coming? And I get that there's a sense of like, well, we'll have cap space for possibly trades of guys that might want to eventually sign whatever. But like, I'm not seeing it. I still haven't seen it. So now the list is Paul George and Kawhi, who are on the team that Harden is demanding a trade to. Drew Holiday is old. Siakam, DeRozan, PJ Washington. That's it.
Boston can still trade Jaylen Brown, by the way.
After a year.
Yeah. So, well,
I'm not seeing it. So then you get to like, okay, so do you just pick those rather than hoping that one of those guys will just come here and sign into cap space? Do you just try to make it work of a backroom dealing type of situation where it's like, we're not going to sign our guy, you're not going to sign your guy. Let's just flip them for each other, and they can argue about who needs to send picks in the deal.
Body Bio, Writes to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Body Bio. We have a new Body Bio convert who I work with, Andrew Perloff, who hosts Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio, runs all the time, had a cramping problem. I suggested to him Elite. I brought a bottle in for him. It worked for him. I was sitting with him in a meeting room. He goes, hey, what's the promo code for the Elite? I'm like, Mike's Tummy. He's like, no, really, what is it? I'm like, it's Mike's Tummy. It's 20% off. He bought a giant bottle of Elite. There's another convert.
There you go. My dad uses it.
Your dad uses Elite?
He does.
E-Lite is fucking legit. It's essentially, you want to be properly hydrated. For me, I have cramping problems. Perloff also cramping problems. Sweat a lot. I don't drink enough. But the issue with drinking is, like, you can drink all the water you want. You need electrolytes too. E-Lite, no sugar, no artificial colors, no artificial flavors, just a bottle of pure electrolytes that you put like a capful in your drink in the morning, in the evening. Keeps the cramping away, keeps you properly hydrated. We say Mike's Tummy because as well, there is Gut Plus, which is the only gut supplement you need. Forget about all the probiotics you're taking. Gut Plus creates, here's what I'm going to say, it will create a condition in your body, which your body creates its own probiotic, gets rid of all of those symptoms you don't like. The bloat, the irregularity, all that kind of stuff. It's the only gut supplement you need. Go to bodybio.com, use code Mike's Tummy for 20% off any order. E-Lite, Gut Plus, whatever you want. Again, that is bodybio.com, code Mike's Tummy for 20% off.
And I am a Body Bio influencer, although I still haven't seen the
Video?
ad be out there.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just sort of to boost my ego, but not actually to use.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be advertised to you because you're you. You would never see it.
I guess I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I don't know
how
how
the
it works either.
algorithm would work. Because if they hear me saying, like, I don't know, Cabo, and all of a sudden I just get ads for Cabo, you would think that they would hear my voice and be like, oh, we have that guy's voice. Let's just give it right back to him.
Let's show an ad of himself.
Himself. Yeah, you would want that.
Yeah. So before we get to the Jaylen Brown thing, and also another name that popped up was mentioned to me as far as Sixers acquiring a player.
Tell me.
I did want to play it. We were talking about BBall Paul, and we got a voicemail from somebody we hadn't heard from in a while. And it sounded honestly pretty delusional as your Toronto trade. 833 Lickface is the phone number.
Oh my God. Stephen A. Smith beat me to it. Weekly Becky, Stephen A. Two masters of the take. Let's talk about Tyrese Maxey. I want to talk about DeAnthony Melton. I want to talk about Paul Reed. I want to talk about Turk Smith. Therefore, I guess also Jaden Springer. We are discussing next season with so little accounting for improvement of these guys who are good and actually on the up and up, and not on the down, as some are who are currently on this roster. I'm genuinely feeling excited about Maxey and just all the leaps and bounds he can take. I know occasionally you all mention it, but I want like a real deep dive. How good can he get next season? And those other little dudes too, who we love, who genuinely make us feel good inside. And that's what I want to talk about. And I want to say happy birthday, happy 10th birthday. All those episodes made me very emotional. Definitely part of that. For whom y'all really have.
So it's sorry to hear that Becky suffered a psychotic break that thinks that the season next year, we shouldn't be so negative because of the possible improvements of Turk Smith, Paul Reed, and Jaden Springer, which is a psychotic belief to have, though I salute it.
I would say that all three of those guys have a very good chance of being in the top 10 best players on the team next year. Partly because of the offseason that Daryl has had so far.
Yeah. Just real quick, before we go on to the next thing.
I love Turk Smith. I'm very excited about Turk Smith. I would absolutely give him a contract like right now. Give him a 4-year team-friendly contract, real contract, get him off the two-way. Let's move on. We have a guy. He's the guy. He's going to be something. Let's go.
We'll push. I think we can do a good portion of an episode on what we expect out of Tyrese Maxey. I don't want to do it here because we haven't prepared it. I think that's what she really wanted to hear. I actually don't know, but maybe there's a good potential guest we could get on and do a deep dive on. Like, I guess I would just like more historical comps and not just his production, but his skill set as well as to what he could possibly be. So you did mention the real quick thing on cap space. You did mention Jaylen Brown. Now he just signed that $300 million contract that everyone's having a heart attack over, though somebody will sign an even bigger contract next year and so on and so forth.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. I think he is probably best suited as being the third best player on a team, given his specific skill set. But, you can't let him go. You still be able to trade him. I think people are making a bigger deal out of the contract than they should. But the other player that was whispered to me by Sixers Adam, when I think there was a quote somewhere, I forget who it was, maybe it was Howard Beck, whoever it was, said that they would trade Donovan Mitchell right now because there's no chance that Donovan Mitchell signs another contract in Cleveland. Now,
Howard Beck said that?
Somebody said it. I'm sorry. Maybe CJ can find it. Somebody said that. Then Adam whispered to me the possibility of the Sixers acquiring Donovan Mitchell perhaps after this season. So Mitchell has this season, next season, and then has a player option. What would you think of Donovan Mitchell on the Sixers if he was a great player, like their other star or whatever?
Oh, I mean, he's awesome. I don't see that happening. I think him and Maxi's skill sets are somewhat redundant with each other. Mitchell never became the defender that I anticipated him becoming out of the draft, but he takes a ton of tough shots. He can get to the rim. He's a good catch and shoot guy. He can play on or off ball. He's awesome.
He was fucking embarrassing against the Knicks in the playoffs last year, is the only thing I would say.
The whole team was, really.
Yeah.
I would be surprised. I mean, maybe he just wants to go somewhere and it's just like, I'm going to go to the place I want to go, and not whether that's New York, like had been rumored or whatever. Who knows? I would be surprised. I had not considered and think it's pretty far-fetched that he would come here. But I mean, they have a good thing going in Cleveland. I would expect him to want to stay and kind of be the main guy there with a really nice supporting cast of Garland and Mobley and maybe Allen if he stays.
I want to read off NBA teams to you and have you. Here's the question. Question is, which team has a better chance at winning at least one NBA championship over the next 5 years?
Then the Sixers?
The Sixers or X team.
Okay.
Make sense?
Keeping in mind that the Sixers don't have a roster right now. We're not allowed to look at it. So it's hard to know.
Yes, but knowing everything that you know and with the information that is there.
Okay.
So obviously we would say the Nuggets have a better chance than the Sixers.
Yeah.
The Warriors.
Yeah.
Better than the Sixers.
Yeah, I think reasonable.
The Clippers.
I would say tie.
I think that's fair. Timberwolves.
Sixers.
Agree. Thunder.
5 years?
Next 5 years.
Give me the Thunder.
Yeah, I think I
love those guys.
I'm right as
I was
well.
trying to find a way to rope. I was texting with Sixers Adam today, trying to find a way to rope Josh Giddey away, but the problem with the Sixers is that they just don't have much to offer.
They don't have anything to trade.
In trades, yeah.
Josh Giddey's awesome.
He is the man.
The Lakers.
Probably the Lakers. I don't love it. It could be a tie. I'm not an AD guy. LeBron's old.
They basically have one more year, it seems like.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So it might be like this year.
Yeah.
And I think they had a pretty nice offseason.
I would take the Sixers.
I would take the Lakers just because of this current coming year.
This year.
Yeah.
The Trailblazers.
Sixers.
Suns. Yeah, I guess so. The Jazz.
Sixers.
I would agree. The Kings.
Sixers.
Yeah, I think I'd
Happy
agree
for the
as well.
Kings. Got to assume a step back is coming. Maybe not a huge one, but definite some.
Who has a better chance of winning at least one championship over the next 5 years, the Sixers or the Dallas Mavericks?
I'll say the Sixers. I think it's close. I think you'd probably rather have, for the next 5 years, you'd probably rather have Luka than Embiid. But maybe for the next 2 or 3, you'd rather have Joel. So, and the fact that the Mavs didn't make the playoffs last year is relatively damning. So,
yeah,
I'll say the Sixers.
Houston Rockets. Sixers. Memphis Grizzlies.
That's an interesting one. That's a really interesting one. I'll say the Grizzlies.
I will say the Sixers. I don't think the Grizzlies are going to win a championship.
They
I don't think the
probably won't.
Sixers are either. But
Yep.
Shit, I hadn't considered that
Yeah.
part of it. Yeah.
I mean, I as a player, Ja is electric. I love obviously Desmond Bane. I love Jaren and his improvements on the offensive end. Obviously David Roddy. They have just a bunch of like young guys that are constantly getting better and improving and being there. And I think things could just click for them all in the right way. At some point in the next 5 years, might not be this year, but at some point in the next 5 years, things could just click. And they're well coached, and I like a vibe. I hope it happens for them.
Sixers or the New Orleans Pelicans?
I'm such a Zion guy. You know that I am. I always have been. They were the number one team in the West when he was healthy. I'll probably say the Sixers because
come on.
The rest of I'm not an Ingram guy. McCollum's okay. I'll probably say the Sixers.
By the way, it was Tim Bontemps who said, quote, "I don't think there's any chance he signs an extension there ever. And if it was up to me, I would trade Donovan Mitchell today."
I don't think they do that. And I wouldn't do that if I'm Cleveland. What are you trying to get? What are you getting?
Yeah, I don't know.
Out of him. Trading him for a worse, like you're already there. You're the top 4 seed.
James Harden.
Try to convince him if they have success, then he'll be
Harden.
more convinced to stay.
James Harden. Would you like James Harden? Could I interest you in one James Harden? San Antonio Spurs or the Sixers?
5 years?
Yeah. Oh, that is rough.
5 years. I'll say the Spurs.
I would take the Sixers as well.
I said Spurs.
No, I would take the Sixers. I would take, when I mean as well, I mean as it like the last one we said. So
you like the Sixers. This is proving you to be more of a positive on the Sixers
Homer?
than maybe you had been positioning yourself.
The Celtics.
Climate change is upon us, and it might not last. The Celtics.
Brooklyn.
The Sixers.
I agree. The Knicks.
The Sixers. If you're counting on the Knicks to get someone in free agency to come and be the guy.
Or a trade.
You've been counting on that for 20-some years.
The difference now, here's the only difference. I was very optimistic for the contract of Jaylen Brunson.
Yeah, he's a good player.
But he's like way better than his contract is.
At this point, yeah.
He's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't had like an awesome player in a while. And for everyone who calls me a Knicks fan, all I would like to say is that being around Knicks fans has beat if there was any part of Knicks fan in my body, it has beat it out of it. Trust me. I'm not cheering for the Knicks at all. But I do think Jaylen Brunson is a motherfucker. And he has had, this is the only thing I'd say, is like he already has more signature playoff series than Joel Embiid does.
Yeah, he's just so not a better player than Embiid. And you can't win with Brunson as your best player. You can't win a championship with Brunson.
No, not his best player, but I think players would like to play with him. That's all. So, Raptors, we're taking the Sixers.
Yeah.
Bulls, we're taking the Sixers.
Yeah.
Cavs.
That's interesting. That's close. I might say because of like they just have more optionality than the Sixers right now. I might say the Cavs. I like Garland. I love Mobley.
I love Garland.
Mitchell, if he stays, who knows? The problem is you would love for Jared Allen to get traded somewhere else for a good wing, but who's paying premiums aside from the Timberwolves going for Rudy Gobert? Who's paying premiums for big guys that can't do much else?
Right. The Pistons, we're taking the Sixers. Oh, stop.
I like the Pistons. We are considering the Pistons. I like Cade. Jaden Ivey rules. I really like the Thompson twin. Jalen Duren rules. I mean, they gave Monty Williams $1 billion. Once they get James Wiseman out of there, they will be better. I'll say the Sixers, but if you want to say who would you rather be in 5 years, I would say the Pistons.
We have 6 more teams left. Before we get to them, Mortgage CS, a dedicated sponsor of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, and we are proud to have Mortgage CS. Sometimes we talk about, we have some partners that are important for your life, like life decision type partners. LL, life decision, Kasabi, life decision, big decisions, expensive decisions. A mortgage is a huge thing. Buying a house is a huge thing. When you're working with somebody to get a mortgage, you need somebody you can trust. Mortgage CS is who you got to go to. Now, don't just take my word for it. Lots of Ricky listeners have done the same thing, thought the same thing. They teach you about the mortgage process. They're always there for you, morning, noon, night, whenever. Good people, all that. But the most important thing to me is that they are an independent mortgage broker, meaning they do not have any deals with banks that you don't know about. So when they're leading you toward a certain loan, they're like, we can get you, 6.755 fucking % here. You know that they're not leading you there for them. They're not getting like a cut of that, a kickback. They are leading you there for you. They're independent. They're local. They are responsive, everything. Fucking love Mortgage CS. I'm going to give you their CEO's cell phone number right now. Ben, somebody in the YouTube chat, I want you to text Ben a Sixers question and tell us the answer. 267-391-7425. That is 267-391-7425. And you're going to need a mortgage broker. You've never bought a house before. You're going to need a mortgage broker like right then. You got to make an offer. You need a pre-qualification letter. They're going to be there for you anytime. Go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky, mortgagecs.com/Ricky. They made the best microsite in Rights Ricky Sanchez sponsor history. Or call or text Ben at 267-391-7425. Mortgage CS. It's not an easy time to buy a house. Mortgage rates are up. You need a great partner. Mortgage CS is them. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com/Ricky for more information. Okay. Rest of the teams. Where do we go? The Pacers.
I like the Pacers. I like Halliburton. Really like him a lot. Like Jarris Walker. Miles Turner's perfect there. A couple interesting guys. I'll still say the Sixers.
Same. Bucks. Yeah, same. Hawks. Take the Sixers.
I would take the Sixers.
Yeah.
Something weird is going on there. I think they might just have to trade Trae Young. It seems like nobody likes him at all.
Yeah. I agree with you. Charlotte Hornets.
Sixers.
Yeah, same. Orlando Magic.
Really like the Magic. What are the Magic going to do?
Mike's struggling with the 5 worst teams in the league.
Those are my favorite kinds. I would much rather be a fan of those teams with the hope of something coming down, except for do you think that we could get somebody for the rights to Petrushev and fucking a second round pick in 2033? I will say the Sixers. If I was more of a Paolo guy, I might say Paolo, but I love Franz. I like a lot of the interesting guys they got on the team there.
I don't like Paolo at all. I don't like that guy at all.
Pretty medium to low on Paolo.
Yeah.
But I think he's good. I'm just not. I don't think he's like a top 8 guy in the league type.
2 more. Washington Wizards.
Not the Wizards.
Yes. And finally, your Miami Heat.
You probably have to say Miami.
Yeah. I mean, you would have to, right? I mean, at least over the next 2 years, assuming they trade for Lillard, at least over the next 2 years, they have to.
What do you think is more likely? Miami trades for Lillard, or Dame ends up in Miami next year, or Harden ends up with the Clippers next year?
Dame ends up in Miami.
That's probably right.
Yeah. I'm just stuck on I don't think it's possible he goes anywhere else.
It's interesting stuff. The fact that there's two of them happening right now.
Yeah.
Dame is probably going to be the first domino, is my guess.
Yes, I would say so.
But if you're, I do wonder if it's so bizarre for Dame, because he should have asked for a trade like 2 or 3 years ago. Or he should have at least within the last year or two. The fact that it's happening now when the team looks pretty good. Like Shaedon Sharpe has turned out to be good.
But they drafted a guy who plays his exact position.
But he kind of does, he kind of doesn't. Like they could work well together. Like he could be a combo guard, play off of him. He played with CJ McCollum forever. You could trade, Simon. I wonder if there's any level of convincing if they go to Miami and they're like, we're not trading to Miami, man. They don't have enough stuff. We think you're too good. Either we trade you to this other team, let's say it's Brooklyn or whatever, some other place that's offering more stuff, or you stay here and try to be like the next, let's see if we can converge these timelines and become, more interesting than we have been in a few years. I don't think it's likely, but the Blazers themselves don't have to tank or anything. Like they are in good position with Scoot and Shaedon and a couple other interesting players. The
first thing that has to happen, though, is that there has to be an offer that is better than the Miami offer. And for what it's worth, the Miami offer is like 3 firsts.
Well, we don't know what the actual offer is.
Well, we know what. Yeah, I guess.
It's probably a couple bad firsts. Like trading Dame for like 3 or 4 late first round picks when he's under team control for that long. Like that's not an enticing thing. It's not like
you just said Gabe Vincent's going to be better than him in 2 years.
I think that, but Portland can't think that.
What are we doing?
They're trying to get the best. If you're negotiating with one team, there's no centerpiece. There's no centerpiece of a Dame trade from Miami.
This ain't
it might. I'm not saying. I'm just saying like I understand on Portland's level of like allow me to have a centerpiece return in a Damian Lillard trade, who's the best player in franchise history, under team control for many more years, coming off of his best year yet. Like, give me a centerpiece. If you're saying it's like Nikola Jovic or like a 2025 Heat first, I'm not buying it. Like, that's not.
What teams who are in position to want to trade for Damian Lillard have a young centerpiece player that they would trade for him?
There's teams that you can go for. I mean, I've been saying I want the Spurs to try to do something with it, and they have more interesting guys that they could go and go.
They don't want to. They don't want to trade for Lillard.
They don't. They should, but they don't.
Yeah.
I think Brooklyn could offer more interesting stuff. I have to look around the league, but I just, when Gobert went to Minnesota for all those picks and swaps and stuff, you could go, yeah, Minnesota's eventually going to be bad. This isn't going to work. Like, that's enough stuff. Plus we got Walker Kessler, who we like, whatever. It's not, Miami doesn't have that like amount of bad quality. Like they haven't been bad enough over the last 10 years or whatever to where you go like, okay, eventually that pick's going to be a top 7 pick that we can really hang our hat on or something. Or they have like an asset that, like what the Sixers traded at that Lakers pick that went in the Tobias trade.
They're going to end up, it's whatever. They're going to end up finding a third team, and it's going to be Hero, 3 firsts, Jovic and Jaquez or whatever. And then that'll be that. And it'll
maybe
be done. Yeah.
But if I'm Portland, I'm holding out for as much as possible.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, both sides should just hold out. Should just wait at this point and see who breaks. Yeah. There's nothing happening.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see if there's any movement on Leica trying to convince Dame to be like, to stay and finish your career here and pass the torch a little bit, but still be a well-paid, tentpole foundational piece of this team.
Writes to RickySanchez@gmail.com. This comes from Jenny. Hi, friends. Greetings from Jayhawk territory, proud home of Joel's basketball and Twitter troll career debuts. On today's episode, Mike lamented about a terrible flight experience, and it prompted me to share my own recent terrible flight experience, which will also bring me a concern I now have for Mike during flights, given what we've learned about his bathroom behavior. Last month, while on a flight for a work trip, I used the bathroom with about an hour left on the flight. I've subsequently found myself locked in that bathroom because the door lock had jammed. After struggling with the lock for about 10 minutes, I devolved into an absolute panic and had to bang on the door until flight attendants took notice and attempted to help me get the door open. They had to talk to me through the vents as I sat there on the closed toilet in a sweaty meltdown. I could hear what sounded like several passengers also attempting to break the door open. I could see the door bowing on the edges as people shook it and pulled and pushed every way they could, trying to get it off its hinges. I ended up being stuck in that bathroom for 2.5 hours.
Whew.
Yeah, including during one of the most turbulent landings I've ever experienced. I had to wait until all passengers had deplaned and the captain and a maintenance crew could come and rescue me. When I finally exited the runway, I overheard people who were waiting to board the next leg of the plane's route complaining to the staff that there was now a delay for their flight. So while flight delays are absolutely maddening, next time your flight is delayed, it could be because some poor soul has been trapped for longer than anyone should have to endure in the coffin that is the airplane bathroom. Yeah. Which brings me to my horrifying thought. What does Mike do if he isn't feeling well on an airplane? Is he stripping down in that tiny bathroom box? Does he just avoid using the bathroom on an airplane altogether? Something I now recommend. Thanks for giving me an outlet to vent about the horror that is air travel, and more importantly, for all you guys do for Sixers Nation. Yada, yada, yada. Mike, your thoughts?
First of all, nightmare.
Can you imagine everyone on a plane trying to get you out of the bathroom? They're like, we know you were pooping. It's okay, though. Like, brutal. It's just like an acknowledgement of you going to the bathroom, which is
I mean, shameful. That's less of a thing for me. I'll announce it myself if I don't have to be stuck in there. It's so, those things are fucking so small, dude. They're making them so.
Yeah, they're very tiny.
They're soon going to just like be like, hey, it's not even a bathroom. Just stick your ass in here. Just like back your ass up into this like little hole and then just shit in it. And like we'll spray some like some wet wipe at you and it's fine and go back to your seat. Like they're going to be as small as possible. They're going to make this
poop glory hole.
Yeah, basically.
Ugh.
I do go to the bathroom on planes and I don't take all my clothes off. I honestly don't remember saying this at any point.
You definitely said it. You 100%.
I'm not denying that I did. I'm saying I don't remember it, and it was probably just an offhand joke that I maybe said in a serious manner. Mm-hmm. I don't take all my clothes off to shit. I wouldn't do that on a flight. If you see me on a flight and I go to the bathroom, I'm keeping my clothes on.
Well, we don't know. 833 Lickface is the phone number.
Spike and Mike, this is Kyle from New York. I was curious how the two of you feel about pubic hair and which Sixers player you think has the longest. Thanks.
Mike.
I was curious to hear what you two think of pubic hair. 10 years into the podcast.
Yeah.
We got the question.
Who do you think on the Sixers has the longest pubic hair?
I don't know. I'm going to say, usually I have a thought. Usually I have a guess as to what kind of stuff various guys are into.
It is Harden. He's got a beard down there. Another beard.
I don't know.
How do you feel about pubic hair?
How do I feel about it?
Yes.
Agnostic. Don't like when it gets too big, then you get sweaty.
Yeah. Final question. Let's see. We have the pubic hair one. We have a complainy one. We'll do a complainy one and then an email. 833 Lickface.
Hey, Spike, Mike, and CJ. This is Blake.
Actually, you know what? That voicemail's 2 minutes long. Absolutely not. That's way too long. Writes to RickySanchez@gmail.com.
Poor that guy just got fucking rejected.
Well, I mean, okay. I'll give
No, don't play it. No, you already did it.
30 seconds of it?
No. He's gone. That guy. I'm giving that guy his grievance. You rejected him. You stiff-armed his ass. He got to say it's Blake, and he's gone. Never play it. Sorry, Blake. That is Spike's fault.
This comes from Brian. Spike, Mike, and CJ. It's rare that a front office exec is enough of a main character for a sports team that, quote, legacy talk feels appropriate. But since the day he got here, I've wondered how much Daryl Morey actually cares about the outcome of his career. Does he lose sleep thinking of ways to finally push one of his teams over the hump? Or is he content doing a B-plus job, cashing Harris Blitzer checks, chalking his ultimate lack of a ring up to chance and luck involved in a results-driven business and carrying on with his life of crypto schemes and girls in yoga pants? If his career ended today, Morey's legacy would be something like M. Night Shyamalan's. peaked early with a revolutionary style that produced groundbreaking results, then remained successful but never quite returned to that level, while the rest of the industry caught up and made a series of he made a series of smart, sometimes bizarre moves to recapture the magic. Instead of evolving, both spent years really trying to recreate what had worked before. M. Night thinking every movie needs to have a shocking twist. Morey thinking every basketball team needs to be comprised of Harden and Houston Rockets or former Houston Rockets. My question is, from what you know about Morey, how much do you think he truly cares about winning a title? The other purpose of this email is to get the M. Night Shyamalan comparison out there, hoping he takes offense to it and starts caring more. I think Daryl cares a good bit. I don't think he is in the cash the checks period of his, but I just don't think he doesn't seem like an obsessive, passionate, I don't know if the feeling that they want him to feel is what he feels, but I do think he cares a great deal about winning. What do you think?
I mean, yeah. I think he really wants
Yeah.
to win a title very badly. I can't speak to his sleeping patterns.
Mm-hmm. What keeps him up at night, meaning?
I don't know. But he definitely gives a fuck. He might be prioritizing some of the wrong things or things that we disagree on. He certainly didn't prioritize backup center for a couple of years and tried to get us to think that we were wrong, but he was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if anything, like his view of team building is, on the one hand, a little bit simplistic in the sense of you need to have stars. But I agree with it. And I think that because Embiid is that star, and if you believe Maxey to be on the path to becoming a Jamal Murray type of player, then just using Denver as an example, like you don't need to trade Harden for only another star, regardless of how they fit in with those other guys. I think that there's other non-elite players that you could trade Harden for that would still make more sense, and along with the Nick Nurse, more spontaneous system could be a more holistically better basketball team and a more dynamic basketball team, especially in the playoffs. So I think he is on this. I prioritize stars as well. That was the whole point of the process. That's why we did this thing. That's why we got so on board with it. Like, it is one of my tentpole beliefs, and I think one of the tentpole beliefs of pretty much everybody at this point in basketball. But I think Daryl might go a little too far on it, at the expense of just a balanced basketball team around the star or star and a half that you already have. As far as winning goes, I mean, he wants to win a championship. He cares. He cares a lot.
Yeah, I think so. And non-basketball question, do you like any of M. Night Shyamalan's movies besides The Sixth Sense? Am I stupid for loving Unbreakable and thinking The Village is actually pretty good? Are we underrating how much bad juju comes with him being basically the only Sixers celebrity fan? I'm looking at the movies. I kind of like Unbreakable as well. I guess
I'm not really a horror guy. I know he's not technically horror, or this kind of different type of horror, but I would say not my genre.
I think the other one that I enjoyed, which you would hate, was The Visit. And I think I don't think M. Night Shyamalan directed it, but he produced it. The Visit is about it. The Visit is good. I know you don't like horror. I would say that this one is horror, definitely horror-ish, close to horror. So I enjoyed that. But otherwise, what do I call him? 37%? Because that's what all of his movies have on Rotten Tomatoes. I call him that because he didn't respond to our email about coming on the podcast.
So, right. That was years ago, wasn't it?
It was, but no problem holding a grudge.
That's fair. I'm fine with that. The back to the I can feel, and I relate to it very much, but I can feel the fan base ire going at Daryl Harden and Embiid of wanting them to be visibly angry and pretty emo about it, about this whole thing. And I think Harden having a relatively like standoffish view, like just presence. He just is sort of like maybe not aloof, but standoffish, I think is the right word.
Sure.
And Embiid and Daryl both being actively quirky online, let's say.
Well, the responding to you on the day, the responding to you about the centers on the day that Embiid video came out, talking about other cities, was a Daryl all-timer. Was like a tone-deaf all-timer.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah.
But I think I would love to know, because I feel it also. I wanted, especially in Game 7, I wanted to see Embiid like be pissed off. You were the MVP and you're playing like shit and not stopping anything from happening. A player of your caliber should put a stop to this kind of run. And I think it says something about the kind of player he is, or the kind of part of his career he's at, that he didn't do that, couldn't do that, and didn't seem to like understand why other people were as pissed off at him as they were. But I just at this point want to know like what Daryl or Embiid, or I guess Harden, would have to do to like satisfy those people that want, including me, that want to see them be more vocally and visibly pissed off about what happened.
On some level, I think what they want is the negative version of the Bryce Harper, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like when Bryce Harper's wearing Fanatic socks and a blazer that has the Fanatic on the inside of it. They want like the angry version of that sort of thing.
Yeah, but Bryce plays with fire. You can tell that he's doing that.
Yep.
And he's running around, he's barking, he's doing things, he's playing first base and willing to do whatever it takes. Like that's like actually making sacrifice and learning a new position and potentially making a fool out of himself, that kind of thing. And obviously Daryl's a GM. If he started acting like Bryce Harper, would be funny.
I just
Joel, think used to do that kind of thing. I happened to watch the TJ game winner against the Knicks from a number of years ago, and seeing Joel as excited as Joel got. And there's parts of Joel's career where you can remember him being very excited. Obviously the Toronto game winner, and not last year's playoffs, but the year before, those kinds of things. It'd be nice, some more emotion on the court, more pissed off, more like fire, instead of just the, classic sort of hold your arms up, call for the crowd to chant for you kind of thing. I think just like there used to be a time when it was fun and fresh earlier on in the Sixers contending-ish era, and now it's like, why haven't they advanced past the second round yet? Why hasn't it gotten better? We're more pissed off. You should be more pissed off. And so I want to feel that. I want them to feel that, but I just don't want to know, like if they release like a video of them listening to emo songs and like crying in the rain, that might not do it either.
It would be closer than this.
Than tweeting memes at me?
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I could see how that's closer.
Yeah. I think on some level, what's it called? Philadelphia fans are pretty easy to please is the wrong word, but like if you just do the paint by numbers of what they want, they won't try to see through it, I guess is what I'm saying. And I think if somebody like Embiid or Morey just acted in the paint by numbers, this is unacceptable, we're doing everything we can, blah, 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 like I think that would be enough for now. Obviously, the real enough is winning in the second round. But this, I feel like we've said this over the last 3 off seasons. This is like the most negative off season in terms of vibes and expectations that I think that we've been through.
Yeah, it's this or the post Ben Hawks series.
Yeah.
Last year was not as bad as this or that.
Right.
And I guess the other thing that Daryl could do is like not essentially bring the same roster back, but that's where we are right now. But as Daryl has said, do not look at the roster. They should remove the like Sixers roster from the website. Shouldn't be able to have it. Shouldn't be able to access it.
Yeah.
But that I think aside from a visible display of like emotion at not getting to anywhere close that they need to get to, I think personnel changes would be a nice fit, but you can't just make people make trades, and that's we're in the uncomfortable period. We're all very uncomfortable.
Well, it'll be fun to do the James Harden Got Traded podcast on December 9th when he eventually gets traded.
I don't even have a guess as to what's going to happen. I can float possibilities, but at a certain point, one of them has to become true, and I have no idea. If we go into the season with James on the team, and he's like in the fat suit in preseason, or he doesn't show up or whatever, I don't know.
It's a pretty tough look, Mike. It's a pretty tough look.
It's a tough look, and it's very like we're Sisyphus right now for sure. The sort of doomed to be doing this for all time,
forever
with this team.
All right, we will. With that, we'll talk to you next time. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, lick face.